Hello. We'll try to wait for some people to join in. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live right now. Let's wait for a few people to join in.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've seen a lot of guys have joined in, and most of you would have known now. The US has finally conducted an attack on Iran, and this was in Tehran. And right now, this is like an hour late. President Trump just announced it. We're just going through that right now.
From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon.
I thought this guy was bringing back all the army people home. I thought that he was wrapping up everything.
I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil.
I think they were pretty clear. I mean, they were the most clear party in this.
But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild
We can't take it anymore.
their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raze their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs as they are.
I wonder if he writes if this is even a written speech, and even if it is, does he write it?
Sometimes called to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And
Because that's that's some pretty straight language, and he does it all the time.
we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will.
This sounds like a personal problem for the US, although it isn't. And Iran never said that it's making a nuclear weapon. Iran never said that. Iran even goes on to promise that it wouldn't. So I don't know, and they're pretty clear.
will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now, we're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear armed Iran. We ask God
What is he talking about?
to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that with His help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and
I think this was Israel's thing, and look how Donald Trump is like his words. These are Israeli sentences. These are Israeli words.
they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard,
Why is this happening? Has the Epstein files gone deep enough? Is this, I mean, was this the end of the honey trapping game? Why is this happening?
the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of
Okay, you guys can comment. How many of you guys think that people will lay down their arms in Iran?
Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. That the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving.
So, are they going to turn Iran in? Do they want to turn Iran into Iraq, Libya, and Syria? That was American help.
You what you want. So let's see how you respond.
You do not know what they want.
America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you.
So, they're going half a world away, and they're acting like someone has attacked their land. The words that he's choosing, it sounds like Iran has attacked America. That is not true. These guys are like half around the world away, and they're attacking a country, and he's acting like someone attacked the U.S.
You all.
So most of you guys now know that U.S. has conducted a strike on Iran, and I think this is the first phase. I think the strike is over now, and Trump just came out and announced the strike and wanted to tell the Iranian people that you guys should stay sheltered. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. It's very dangerous outside. I was thinking about the guys, the ICE agents taking out people. What about them? And what if the Imam Khomeini makes the same speech and says, "Okay, people, you should stay inside. It's very dangerous outside." I mean, you need to get your business straight in your country, and you are half a world away, and you're attacking a country which was agreeing on the major things that you were saying. This is like complete craziness. So I'm gonna go on and show you some international media reporting, how they're doing. So we've got some comments. I think it's Mr. Compatible who asked this fool for help. And then there is Subhan Gilgor, I think. End of UAE, he says. That's also a different sort of a video. That's true. So here's Al Jazeera English. Let's see what they say.
Well, let's just go back to our breaking news story that Israel has launched a preventative attack against Iran. That's according to
A preventative attack against Iran. Israel has launched. And you saw the words of Donald Trump. I don't know why. It sounds like he was under attack. His country was under attack, and it's the other way around. It's Iran being attacked and by Israel.
Well, let's just go back to our breaking news story that Israel has launched a preventative attack against Iran. That's according to Israel's defense minister. Apparently, air raid sirens have been heard in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Witnesses say that they've also heard explosion in Iran's capital, Tehran. Sirens sounded in Israel as Israel warns of the possibility of missiles. That's the latest breaking news we're getting here. Let's just stay with this story and bring in Al Jazeera's Noor O'Day. She's in Ramallah for us in the occupied West Bank. Noor, just tell us what's going on in Israel at the moment.
Well, right now, the Israeli army has confirmed that it has launched what it calls a preemptive attack against Iran. It has declared a state of emergency throughout the country and asked citizens to be close to a shelter, whether in their homes, a safe room, or a public shelter. For now, there are no details about the targets of those attacks, but we understand that this is a campaign that Israel has launched, of course, in line with its publicly stated policy that Iran poses a threat to the safety of Israel, and its allegations that its missiles and its nuclear enrichment program also pose a threat, having repeatedly said.
Why would anyone give up on the missiles? Why? And why do you think that even if could you even ask that?
That the negotiations with the United States were not going to go anywhere and should not have been trusted to begin with.
No, so what more have Israeli defense officials been saying? Because we heard from the Israeli defense minister that they've launched this preventative strike. What more details are we getting about the strike itself coming from Israeli officials?
Preventive strike.
Nothing yet about the targets themselves. But again, let's put this in perspective about why would such an attack happen. Israel considers the government in Iran a threat to itself, and so the launching of the attack, irrespective of the targets, is completely consistent with its stated policies. At the moment, the details are very scant. But the focus of the Israeli messaging so far has been domestic about what Israelis should be doing, how Israelis should be acting. But we already know that flights of foreign airlines that are on their way to Israel have started to turn back to their destinations. And this was, of course, a long time coming. We've seen over the past 24 hours some airlines canceling flights, some countries calling on their citizens to leave Israel while flights are available. That started with Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, telling his staff they can leave the country if they choose to do so because of the tensions. And now we know that, those warnings were warranted. Other countries like the UK, France, and others had followed suit.
No, you've been covering this story for us for some time now. Would this preemptive strike by Israel have been given the green light by Washington?
Most definitely. A U.S.
I don't think it's a green light. I think that Israel didn't even tell them. I think it was announced afterwards, after Israel did it.
Establish peaceful, successful governance.
So
And then
here's
it
Sky
becomes
News.
how well that can be defended against, what damage is inflicted, and how America responds.
Deborah, for the moment, thanks very much indeed. I do want to tell any viewers just joining us that we're bringing you breaking news this morning. Israel has carried out strikes against Iran. Well, Adam Parsons is in Jerusalem for us this morning. Our security and defence editor, who you've just been listening to, Deborah Haynes, is also live with us this morning. Plus, our security and defence analyst, Michael Clark, will be getting all your views and reaction to events throughout this morning, of course. But let me talk to Michael first of all. Israel announced about an hour ago that it had carried out strikes on Iran. What have we gathered so far about where those strikes have hit and to what extent there's been participation of the US too?
Yeah, big questions. And I mean, certainly they look like quite widespread strikes. As the reports have been coming in, it's clear that first strikes were reported in Tehran, but more around the country since then. So there'll be a range of targets. When in the next few hours, when we see more clearly what the targets are, then I think we can be a bit more informed about what the political objective may be behind it. I think Sean Bell was making the point that the first thing that any targeting would try to do is to achieve what's known as SEAD, S-E-A-D, the suppression of enemy air defence. So taking down the air defences of an adversary is usually the first thing you want to do. So that you can then operate more freely and more safely against whatever the real targets are. And I think we'll see an element of that probably coming into it. Undoubtedly.
So this is Fox News.
We join you right now with breaking news from the Middle East. Israel has launched preemptive airstrikes against the Islamic Republic of Iran, going after a variety of positions inside the country. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, declaring a special state of emergency across the country. Just moments ago, air raid sirens were sounding here in Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv and across major population centers here in the Middle East, warning civilians to stay close to protected areas, to bomb shelters, understanding that in the minutes and hours ahead, Israel may come under direct Iranian attack. We are getting a new statement from Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz. He says, in part, the state of Israel has launched a preemptive strike against Iran. Defense Minister Israel Katz declares a special and immediate state of emergency across the entire country. The state of Israel has launched a preemptive strike against Iran to remove threats to the state of Israel. As a result, a missile and UAV drone attack is expected against the state of Israel and its civilian population in the immediate time frame. Remember, there has been an ongoing U.S. military buildup across the region for the past 2 months. The world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, is now just off the coast of Israel, near to the northern city of Haifa. You have the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group in the Arabian Sea, a variety of U.S. destroyers in locations across the region. And of course, U.S. fighter jets not only here in Israel, but also in places like Jordan. You heard just last night President Trump talking about what he prefers, a peaceful and diplomatic path that was offered to the Iranians, understanding, though, that they have been incredibly difficult in the past to reach agreements with. And while the president sent his negotiators to the region, to Oman, and then ultimately to Geneva, Switzerland over the past month, both U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner ultimately the coordination was happening at the highest level, we understand, between the Americans and the Israelis if a decision was made to launch such a strike. And so we are waiting to get additional information from Israeli and American sources to determine what exactly has taken place. But I'm going to give you all of the updates that we are getting in right now as we receive them. We understand, according to the transportation minister of Israel, that Israel has now closed its airspace to civilian flights. Again, this is a precaution, understanding that the Israelis now are bracing for a variety of incoming possible ballistic missile and UAV attacks against their country. Remember, we were reporting here live during the 12-day war last June as the Israelis and the Iranians exchanged blows. And the Iranians have the ability to launch ballistic missiles. They take about 12 minutes to get to Israel, and they can cause significant damage to major population centers here. We also know that Israel has a variety of air defense systems at its ability, and some of those include the short-range systems, the Iron Dome system, the Arrow system, and also David's Sling. You also have Patriot missile defense systems and THAAD systems provided by the Americans that were deployed here in preparation for the possibility that a decision was made to strike Iran, understanding that there will be a response, as we saw over not just during the 12-day war, but also when the Israelis and the Iranians in 2024 exchanged blows 2 separate times in the spring of that year and also in October of that year. Again, if you are just joining us right now, we are reporting live from the Middle East, where Israel has made a decision to launch preemptive airstrikes against Iran amid the backdrop of a massive U.S. military buildup across the region.
Let's move on. This is Fox Business.
We join you right now with breaking news
Same
from
guy.
the Middle
We're
East.
going to move on to the other video.
Short time ago,
7 News Australia.
Angie Asimus and Michael Usher.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. In just the last few minutes, Israel has launched strikes on the Iranian capital of Tehran, and sirens have rung out in Tel Aviv.
We go there right now, live to Chief Reporter Chris Reason. Chris, good evening from here. Israel is expecting to come under attack.
It is, guys. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. We know that just a short time ago, 5:13 p.m. your time, 8:13 a.m. our time, alerts rang out across the entire nation of Israel, and these alert warnings were sent to every single mobile phone in the country, warning people to prepare for a possible retaliatory strike. Now, the indication being there that this war is underway. The first shots have been fired. We haven't got official confirmation yet on who has fired them, whether it's America or Israel itself, but sources from within the Pentagon seem to be indicating it's an American-led operation at this stage. Now, you can see there on the screens, there are already pictures coming out of Tehran, Iran, showing smoke on the horizon. Various buildings have been targeted and destroyed. We're getting more and more of that sort of information from social media. Now, this attack launched on a holy day here in Israel, the day of Shabbat, a day of rest. Well, not for the IDF. They're now on high alert. The warnings keep coming through our phones, telling people to stay in proximity to their bunkers, their shelters, for the eventual expectation that there will be a retaliation of some sort from Iran. This comes, of course, guys, after days of tension and build-up here across the Middle East. Landing at Andrews Air Force Base, Donald Trump lands a blow to hopes of an Iranian breakthrough.
well, we haven't made a final decision. We're not exactly happy with the way they're negotiating.
Yesterday, claims of significant progress at the Geneva talks, not for the Commander-in-Chief.
Look, we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. There's nothing close. I'd love not to use it, but sometimes you have to.
Speculation, an attack was imminent after America's ambassador to Israel sent an email to staff saying those wishing to leave should do so today. With America's biggest and most modern carrier now in position off Israel and dozens more refuelling aircraft arriving in the capital's main airport, tensions for residents
are soaring.
Show me the gun.
It's only a gun, but still, on October 7, it probably would not be helpful.
Father of three, Yoni Asher, now carries a gun.
I can't leave home without it. I feel exposed. I feel like I am naked.
Okay, let's move on to the other report. I've got Twitter on for you guys too. Let's see what's happening on Twitter. So, US and Israel launch joint strikes on Iran amid protests. We've already seen this video. This is Netanyahu an hour ago.
ברית למערכה משותפת, מבצע שאגת הארי. מטרת המבצע, לשים...
Let's translate this and see what he says. My brothers and sisters, citizens of Israel, and just an hour ago, Israel and the United States embarked on an operation to remove the existential threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran. I thank our great friend President Donald Trump for this historic leadership. Okay, so this would be the speech that he made to announce. Here comes
لحظاتی سرنوشت ساز پیش روی ماست. کمکی که رئیس
I love Tehran.
videos trying to show some of the people happy. This is smoke coming out of Tehran.
U.S. is participating
This is
in
the
these
Fox
attacks.
News page.
The first word that came across the wire services was that these were Israeli-only attacks, Israeli preemptive attacks against the Iranians. But the U.S., Lucas, we are told, is participating.
Breaking: Iran officially launches missiles at Israel. We need to double check that. This is Globe Eye, by the way. These are some pictures coming in from Tehran. So Truth Hurts You says in our chat, wow, supposedly Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and US assets in Bahrain were attacked. That's true. We're watching the video right now. This is Jufar, Bahrain, by this account, area where US naval base was and 5th Fleet headquarters located. So they're saying that Bahrain is under attack now. Some information coming in of some Irani leaders. US bases in Qatar and Bahrain under Iranian missile attack. Okay. Iran is replying. Let's try to get, this is Iranian ballistic missile struck US naval base in Bahrain. So let me show you where Bahrain is actually. So this is Iran, and all this strip, Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain. So they're saying that they struck Bahrain. Let's go further. So there are a lot of things, there's a lot of noise on Twitter. You need to skim through very carefully. We'll go through some other visuals. Smoke cloud rising from Tehran. Yep. Oh look, Israel started another war unprovoked. That is true. So what is developing right now is Iran has replied, and US bases around Iran have been attacked. After Israel attacked Tehran. We're going through some news. So let's go and check out the trends, what's happening around us. So yeah, 2022 Taliban clip on Israel resurfaces amid Pakistan tensions. Pakistan declares open war on Taliban Afghanistan after airstrike. So this is also happening in our part of the world. Let's go ahead and click on Tehran, what's happening in Tehran. So smoke cloud pictures, and then you see jets. Okay, we can't confirm this. Other smoke cloud pictures. This one is a big one. Okay, we've got some Indian media just to water things up.
The one at the presidential
just for you guys to
office,
smile.
Aimed at a regime change or aimed at sending a signal, negotiate, have a peaceful settlement?
Yes, sir. Currently looks way over 30 attacks according to what I'm reading.
Okay.
And
The guest isn't from India, so just leave it. So this is the situation right now. We're trying to dig in. Let's see what else can we get. Okay, so Al Jazeera English 45 minutes ago says Israeli air defense system intercepts several missiles in the skies over Jerusalem. So it is on. Mahmoud, our brother, says huge explosions in Jerusalem now. So this is what's going on, guys.
The war is a political
Iran
act
has
as well as
been
just a
attacked, and
military act.
Iran
So
has replied.
if the objective is to get rid of the regime.
So our guest
Well, I think the
Ali
regime
Hamza
might be
was right.
calculating.
He said that
How
the
long can they
first
keep this
3-4
one up?
targets of Iran would be
Can we,
the
the
bases
regime, they might be
around
saying,
Iran,
ride it
not the
out? Because, of
carrier.
course,
But
one thing that
obviously,
happened
people
during
would be
the war in the
curious of
summer,
what's going to
so-called
happen of the
12-day
carrier.
war, was that those stocks of interceptor missiles that the Israelis had and also that the Americans had, they burnt through an awful lot
Let's
of
check. I'll check for you what has been
the
hit.
Iranians might possibly be calculating that actually this is only going to go on for 4, 5 days, 6, 7 days, something like that, and they can ride it out, and that if they survive, then for them survival might equal victory.
Jeremy, just some breaking news to bring our viewers. The AFP news agency is reporting that loud explosions have been heard in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, of course. You talked about this being a dangerous moment for the wider region.
Okay,
We
so
now have heard
BBC
alerts
has
in
just
Riyadh,
announced loud
in Bahrain,
explosions in Riyadh.
in Qatar as well. What is the potential here, given the number of US bases in the region?
This is
I think it's been widely discussed that if this was to happen, and it's happening, that the Iranians would hit back at US bases, they'd hit back at Israel. They wouldn't do it in the
So this is the good picture. I mean, these are the bases around Iran. If Iran targets the bases, there are a lot of options. So Bahrain has been targeted. There are other bases as well. Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia. BBC just announced Saudi Arabia. There's one in Harir in Iraq, and then in Syria. So things are gonna, if Iran has decided to attack the bases, there are a lot of options. And Iran has attacked Qatar and Saudi Arab, bases in Qatar and Saudi Arab and Bahrain.
Calibrated ways they've done in the past in the hope of trying to control an escalation. They seem to have concluded that that doesn't work for them, that actually a message of restraint that maybe they were trying to send was actually interpreted as weakness. So let's go all in from the outset. The point is that when war starts, it's unpredictable. People don't know which way it's going to go. And while those bases, American bases, if that's what they're trying to hit, would be very much on alert and people would be in their bunkers and their shelters and so on, they will be trying to hit back and exact some kind of a price from the Americans and from the
So yeah, our
Israelis, and
friend
indeed
said
from
that I
anyone else
skipped what
who cares to
Mr.
help them,
Professor
because
Marandi said. We'll
I
go
think
back
that
there.
there are some voices in circles in the
So
US that
Syed
read
Mohammed
saying
Marandi
that
says
actually in
the
private,
Qatari,
Gulf countries, Gulf Arab
Kuwaiti,
states will be
UAE,
cheering all
Saudi
this
and
on.
Bahraini
I don't think they
regimes
will
are
be. I
assisting
think
the
that they
Trump
look on
regime in defending
America
itself
and
right
Israel
now.
as
13 minutes ago
dangerous and
said
at
the leader of the
times,
resistance
highly
against the Epstein
destabilizing
class.
powers. And I'm sure they will be very displeased, not to say rather horrified, by what is happening at the moment, because what
He's been saying
Saudis
this
particularly, they've got lots of
since the
internal plans.
beginning.
What they want
Erdogan is allowing
is a
the
situation
US to
where
use its
essentially
bases
they can
in the
concentrate on
country
internal
against the
matters.
Islamic
They do not
Republic.
want a war in the region.
Jeremy, just in the past few moments, the Reuters news agency has given a
Okay,
reaction
so
from
this
Iran's foreign
is
minister
Muhammad
saying that the
Marandi.
Iraqi
Let's
count,
just
telling
pause
his
this for
Iraqi
a
counterpart
moment
rather that Tehran will
and listen to this.
I can hear large numbers of
Okay, so this is 28 minutes ago.
I can hear large numbers of explosions, and I don't know what's being targeted. No one is safe. Last time round, many innocent people were murdered. As you know, the Iranians were carrying out negotiations with the United States. The Omani foreign minister traveled to the United States and said that significant progress had been made. And like right before the 12-day war, where negotiations were taking place, the United States and the Israeli regime were completely deceitful, and they launched a blitzkrieg attack against the country. So that's where things are right now. My assumption is that the Iranians are preparing for all-out war, assuming that the United States is participating in the war. But I can hear large numbers of explosions.
The question that I just had, does that change Iran's calculus? The fact that Trump came out and said he wants it's a regime change war, does that change the way Iran will respond?
Well, this shows that the United States has gone rogue, completely rogue. We see the strangulation of the Cuban people, what they've done to the Venezuelan people, and the general behavior of the United States has just become increasingly dangerous and erratic. If the United States has indeed attacked Iran, then I think it's all-out war, and Iran will fight for its survival. This is a war of choice by the United States. It's being carried out for the Epstein class, for the Israeli regime, but for Iran, it's a fight for survival. The United States will not be able to bring about regime change. It will fail. They may kill people like me. They may kill many thousands of other people, but they will fail. And the world must rise up and protest and boycott and deal with this global menace.
Professor, about my last question to you, I promised I wouldn't keep you on. I want you to be safe and make sure that. Are you surprised we got to this point, given it looked like the negotiations showed signs of promise? Are you surprised that we're at this point right now that Iran is being bombed? Did you think that this would happen? I mean, I know you wouldn't rule it out, but are you surprised we're here now, right now?
No, personally, I'm not surprised. I've been telling people that I think that in Iran, that I think that the chances for an attack are significant, and that the chances of attacks during negotiations are significant too, taking into account what happened during the 12-day war of aggression. The United States is a completely unreliable regime. And the same is true with the Israeli regime, the entire Epstein class. We have a ceasefire in Lebanon. They murder people every day. We have a ceasefire in Gaza. They slaughter many people every day. And when it comes to Iran right now, they're murdering ordinary Iranians, violating international law. And
Okay, I'm gonna
Western
put it back
media, of course, is
since the
captured by.
beginning so you can know
I
what
can
the
hear large
updates are.
numbers of I can hear large numbers of explosions, and I don't know what's being targeted. No one is safe.
Let's try to dig
Last time
out
round,
what has
many
been
innocent
targeted
people were
in
murdered.
Tehran.
As you know, the Iranians.
Continue to defend itself, and we are seeing that playing out right now, aren't we, in these strikes or reports of strikes across the region and also in Israel. Given that the US is the greatest military power in the world, and Iran clearly knows it can't win a conventional war against the US, against Israel, how does this play out?
Well, first of all, the answer is we don't know what's going to happen, because we've now gone into a very unpredictable period. There were reports early on that the Israelis were saying this might last 4 days. Well, it's not really up to them. If the Iranians want to continue sending
So
missiles,
these are some other
if they have
pictures.
the capacity
Ya
to do
Allah!
that.
Ya
I think the
Allah!
way
Ya
potentially that
Allah!
this plays out is that there is a very
Ya
big onslaught.
Allah! Ya Allah!
Number of
Ya
days.
Allah! La ilaha illa ant. La ilaha.
This is from an hour ago.
Negotiations, when last time round we were in the midst of negotiations when they engaged in war. This time round, in the midst of negotiations, they engaged in death and destruction and murder through a blitzkrieg
Okay, for
attack
everyone who
again.
has just joined
And
us,
we just heard
there has
that
been a
the
back and
negotiations
forth
were making
between
progress.
we saw that
Iran and
the
US,
Omani
Israel
mediator
attacked
went to the United
Iran,
States and
Iran
spoke on
just
television
replied
and said
by
that
attacking
significant progress had been made.
US bases
So the Israeli
around
regime does not
itself.
want
That
progress, nor
includes
does the
Bahrain,
Epstein
Qatar,
class
and
in the
Saudi
United States and
Arabia.
across the
This
Western
is a
world.
developing story.
They want war,
So
they
things
want death
shall
and
change.
destruction, and apparently they're the ones who own the United States. I think everyone knows that they're lying. This was not preemptive. There was no plan for war. It is always the Israeli regime that attacks. They bomb Lebanon, murder people, and say it's preemptive. They kill people in Gaza and say it's preemptive. They murder people in the West Bank and say that they're protecting themselves. It's always the...
We're surfing through, scrolling through X right now. This is Andy. I really like his content as well. He has Victor Gao, the Professor Victor Gao. Israel and the United States have attacked Iran. I asked Professor Victor Gao, is China likely to come to Tehran's defense?
China has been reluctant to exercise its military power abroad, which many in the West and Japan treated as a sign of weakness. So when do you think China would eventually exercise its military power abroad to solve international issues? For example, the current situation in Iran.
First of all, in a philosophical sense of the word, China throughout the ages never want to use war as the preferred way of solving country to country or state to state questions. War should always be treated as a last resort. In China, we always say nothing is more important than war and worship rites, the rituals, etc. So war should always be very, very carefully thought about and should always be the last resort rather than the first resort. Because if war breaks out, you are talking about loss of life, destruction of property. And once you launch a war, you never know whether eventually you will win the war or lose the war. So I think philosophically speaking, China always looks at war as the last resort. And if possible, we want to avoid war. We want to bypass war. We want to use peaceful means to resolve problems. And we want to emphasize win-win possibilities rather than looking at anything or everything as a zero-sum game. Therefore, the fact that China does not want to use war to solve problems doesn't mean China is weak. As a matter of fact, if you look at the conflicts between China and India, the two countries decided not to use military weapons. So we use fists, for example, sticks, for example. It doesn't mean that either China or India don't have heavier dosage hardcore weapons. And then in China-Filipino clashes, we use water cannons, etc. It doesn't mean China does not have very strong, powerful naval powers to defeat the Filipinos. No, we do have, but we do not want to use them. We want to use more peaceful ways to solve the problem. We want to emphasize to the Filipinos that if you look at the American-Spanish Treaty of 1898, you should come to your own conclusion, which is in your best interest. Is that right? So I think going forward, whether China will be much stronger, more powerful than it is now, I believe China will never use war as the top choice.
But then wouldn't that require the rest of the world to have the same outlook? Like, is China trying to pull the world more into a more peaceful kind of function where people don't turn to war? Because a lot of people would say at the moment the United States still uses weapons, and I mean, they just kidnapped the leader of Venezuela. And a lot of Chinese even felt like China should do something. Now, I believe it's not a good idea, I agree with you, but a lot of people, including Chinese, think China should do more. At the moment, is being peaceful enough?
Well, being peaceful will be very important. However, if you are peaceful based on a very weak situation, like, for example, Venezuela, or even like Iran today, then you need to be prepared to probably suffer the brutal force from the United States or from Israel, for example. So I think the key issue you need to face is how you really look at issues involving war versus peace. And I hope you will always look for peace rather than using war. Secondly, you need to really build up your own strength. Now, having enough strength doesn't mean you need to use war as your preferred methodology. Having enough strength, as China does, gives us more luxury of demanding peace.
So that
Because
was
I think the United
Professor
States
Victor
already...
Gao the Great. We're now going to take you back.
On from Republican Congressman Thomas Massey, who wrote, and I quote,
now who is in Doha. Barbara, in the past hour, we've heard reports of explosions in several countries close to you around the...
So take you back again to the Donald Trump speech.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces.
Israel and the U.S. has attacked Tehran. I'm going to take you back to Twitter, where Syed Mohammad Mirandi just an hour ago, 58 minutes ago, tweeted, "If I am targeted, please receive your information from sources that I follow on Twitter." Okay, and we have Mario here. So a lot has been happening if you guys have been following. There's been a back and forth between Israel, Iran, and the US. Israel and the US attacked Iran, and Iran has replied.
خاص جایگه بغیر every
that clip of President Donald Trump announcing and confirming operations on Iran. Let's listen to it.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group
This is Al
of
Jazeera
very
English.
hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of
We're going to switch
bloodshed
to
and
another
mass
report.
murder.
Bring in Alan Fisher in Washington for now. Alan, tell us what's the latest from Washington, D.C. The U.S. Confirming that it is also involved in this attack on Iran. What's the extent of its involvement?
Well, I've been texting with someone who surprisingly is awake at 2 in the morning because they also heard of the attacks on Tehran. They seem to suggest that they believe that the United States' involvement in this is towards decapitating the head of the Iranian regime. They say that from what they can understand, the attacks were concentrated in areas where the supreme leader may well be living. And so the intention was to try and take out the head of the regime and then see what would happen afterwards. Now, many countries have warned the United States about an extended effort to try and force regime change in Iran. They wanted to know what was the plan for the day after and the day after that and the day after that, simply because you couldn't guarantee that if you removed the supreme leader, that necessarily what would happen with that a pro
So yeah, they were trying to, this was, people were talking about this earlier. They will try to take out the supreme leader. And this is what this guy is confirming right now to Al Jazeera.
Western pro-United States government form in his absence. And so there could be a great deal of bloodshed in the aftermath, and they were concerned that that would leak over borders, that would cause instability across the region, and they would be dragged into a regional war of some description. As I say, that's just someone who is an analyst who understands.
Is live in Israel and has some breaking news for us now. Trey.
Yeah, John, air raid sirens just sounded across Tel Aviv, Israel's second largest city. The Iranians have started their response. I just received a text message from a source in Tehran who said Iran is firing back. The sirens that sounded across Tel Aviv were a signal of incoming ballistic missile fire towards central Israel. We also understand, according to sources in Haifa in northern Israel, the country's third largest city, that there is missile fire toward that city, but no impacts reported. At least 2 interceptions are being...
So Haifa, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, all have been targeted.
Reported on Israeli media, but again, at this moment, John, the latest information that we can bring to you is that air raid sirens just sounded across Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv, alerts going out on the phones, and I can see the local news in Israel right now, and there are alerts going one after another. Many of them in the West Bank and close to the city of Jerusalem as well. But again, this is a very fluid situation, but an indication that the Iranians have started their response. President Trump, as he said before, that there is going to be an ongoing and massive operation against the Iranians. That likely includes striking some of these missile launching positions, as many as possible.
So new videos are coming up.
Let's go back to Trey Yingst in Israel, where we're
Israeli
learning about
intercepts
sirens going off
Iranian
and possible
missiles. That
explosions.
means
Trey,
that
good morning. What
Iranian
can you tell us?
missiles are making its way to the Israeli
Sirens are
airfield.
sounding in Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv.
The
You can hear
response
those
is
booms in the
reaching-
distance. Those are interceptions, and you're going to see this white
The
line
response
through
is
the
reaching
air.
Israel.
That is
The drones
from an
have been
Israeli missile
activated.
defense system
Israeli
was fired off
defense
from the
system
northern
is
part of the
on
city.
high alert.
And looks like it successfully
The
intercepted
missiles launched from
one
Iran
of the incoming
have
missiles.
reached Israeli airspace.
Again, there is a lot of movement here just in terms of the missile fire. And we know that it's not just central Israel being targeted, but it is also the northern and southern parts of this country. But again, that line that you just saw through the sky there, that is from an Israeli missile defense system interceptor, likely the Arrow system that just fired off in order.
We're going to try to take you live. This is Middle East Eye. Haifa port after US and Israel launch attack on Iran. Interception scene. So these guys are sitting live. So this is the skyline, Haifa port after US and Israel launch attack on Iran. Interception scene. We're getting this live feed from Middle East Eye. Thank you very much, Middle East Eye. We're going to switch over to AP. It's a cloudy day out there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's about it for now. We're going to take a break and be right back as soon as there's developments on both sides, Israel, the bases, or Iran.